What's going on, Money Morning Live, and everyone that's watching on YouTube as well? We're about to bring in Tom Gentile with the Alternative Wealth Daily Live. Really looking forward to talking about some cryptocurrencies with you guys today because a lot is going on there. Let's bring in Tom in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Good morning. I don't even know what time it is anymore. Hey guys, Tom Gentile here. Welcome to our Alternative Wealth Daily Live. Of course, I'm your host here. I'm going to be walking through everything that's going on in the cryptocurrency markets. We'll get to take a look. We got a lot to cover today. The big coins, which ones you need to be looking at and investing in. Nick Black, who's almost always here at this time. Guess what? He's feeling ill. I wonder what he's got. Eric?
You know what? I talked about it, how this stuff, it's passing through the microphones. You gave it to me. I gave it to Nick. Yeah, he's feeling a little bit ill today, so it's just you and I. But a lot of things are going to be the same about the show. We're going to be looking at the chat, taking your guys' questions along the way over the next hour. So it's going to be a good one. I'm excited for it, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, for today's show, for instance, we got headlines. I mean, we've got a new. I don't want to say we got a new low. We got a new low for the year for sure, considering the year is only 10 days old. But over the course of the year, we have a very significant support level that actually happened early this morning. So we'll discuss that. Crypto coins. I want to do a strategy session, Eric, on something I call triple stack. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. What kind of coins we're looking out for. Hey, let's go ahead and get started with some of the big headlines, Eric.
Yes, let's get into them. I mean, we have some crypto headlines that we're going to be looking at today. And the first one that we're going to bring up here is about Bitcoin snapping a 6-day losing streak. I'm going to pull this in here right now with you so you can take us through this chart and what's actually happening right now. How scared should we all be?
So interesting enough, I mean, look at the headlines here. All right. So I believe this was from CoinDesk. Bitcoin snaps 6-day losing streak, avoids drop below 40K. How about that? One thing you can count on for especially with mainstream media, you can count on it here too, is that these guys will throw these headlines out and then they wish they could pull them back because early this morning we did see 39 and change that actually happened. It didn't last long. We had the V bounce. We're going to take a look and see in just a few minutes what's going on in the world of Bitcoin as well. But, 6-day losing streak really took us from those high 40s. I mean, guys, this really has been the theme since you look at 2 months ago, we were hitting 65, 67, 69,000 in Bitcoin. Nothing could be better. Now, let me take you back. Let's talk about what was going on at the time. What was going on at the time was a 4-letter symbol, BITO, BITO. BITO was the news, along with what? Another half a dozen ETFs. These were not cash-related or physical asset-related ETFs. These are all ETFs that basically do the same thing. They're trading off the futures markets. So the hype behind the very first Bitcoin ETF, caused cryptocurrencies as a whole to rally to new highs. Right? We've seen pullbacks since then. We'll get into a couple of charts. We'll look at some charts on the big ones here shortly. But I believe we've got a couple of areas to be concerned about. A close below 40,000. Now, what I think could happen then is that we've got a lot of support happening at that 40,000 mark. We get a close below 40,000, and you're going to see some selling that's going to happen. Now, remember, Eric, you probably know this better than I do. There is a few whales out there that own the majority of Bitcoin, if not, every cryptocurrency that's out there that's minted. Mm-hmm. You've got the few that hold the many. Is that also the case with Bitcoin?
Yes, I believe it's 80% or something like that. I wouldn't say that I know this better than you, Tom, but yeah, about 80% of Bitcoin holdings, I believe, are all, with a small handful of people. So it's pretty crazy how much influence they have over that price too, right?
Right. And you have to ask yourself, are these the guys that are selling? If we were to take a really deep dive, and we need to do that in one of our shows, is take a deep dive into wallets and go searching for the whales and see who really is doing the buying and selling here. Because a lot of what we're seeing, well, at least a lot of what I'm seeing at this level, is this is levels that are, I like to say, induced, and they're induced by these outside areas like Bitcoin futures, all right, which trade on the market, like Bido and some of the others where you can now short sell these. And so I believe what you're seeing short selling that's happening in the derivatives. And there's an arbitrage effect that happens between what's going on in the futures markets and what's happening in the physical. And I don't believe that we're seeing all of these whales just dumping coins, because if they were dumping coins at the 40,000 level, why didn't they dump at 69? Why didn't they dump at 65? These whales, I believe, are hanging on for what I believe, what Nick believes, even what Eric believes, that we're still in the middle of this adoption phase that I believe is going to take Bitcoin well over 100,000. I'm seeing 90 to 100,000 is where we see the upside potential, and I'm seeing that for 2022. So that's my first take on where I see this going. Am I a little bit nervous? Not really. I held Bitcoin when it was worth nothing. I held Bitcoin when it was at 69,000. I'm still holding the same number of coins I got today. So there are several coins that I have that I like to call my buy and hold stash. My buy and hold stash is the Bitcoins, the Ethereums, things like that. But what I think you should expect is if we go close below the 30,000 mark. I don't think the 40,000 mark. I don't think we're going to 30,000. All right. I do think we could go into that mid to high 30 range to pick off the low hanging fruit. What I call the low hanging fruit is the folks that bought Bitcoin at 50, 60. There's somebody out there that pays $69,000 for BTC if they're still in it and they're watching it drop. And these folks always seem to get out at the wrong time. Something I don't want you in this room to do. All right. So, Eric, what else you got on the news?
Yeah. Well, I had a question about that before we get on to the next news. So yeah. I'm sitting in all of Nick's shows. So he's a big time on investment in crypto, right? He doesn't seem to ever worry. When it dips, he doesn't look at it as a bad thing. He looks at it as an opportunity to dive back in. So you were just talking about Bitcoin possibly dropping into the 30,000 range. How do you feel about that? Do you think this is a good opportunity for people to jump in and invest?
I can tell you right now, yesterday, I think it was last night, I did get a buy signal on Bitcoin. And that's using something we're going to talk about later today, which is the triple stack compression. All right. But I'm letting everybody know here, all 1,800 of you, that we did see buying opportunities coming at just around the 40,000, 40,500 level. So that's definitely what we're seeing on a major coin. Now, are we seeing these on the minor coins today? Not so much. I'm going to show you how we spot these as well, and then again how we're not spotting them. Because just like as Nick is a buy and hold investor, all right, I am a trader. I'm more of a trader outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And what we'll do is we'll take a look on Wednesday. I like to reflect. January is a month of reflection, and the month of reflection is, how did we do last year? What did we do right? What did we do wrong? What are we going to do differently? So what I'm going to do for those of you that want me to get into this is that Wednesday's show, we'll do a little bit of right, wrong, and what's different about this coming year, because I really do think that, for those of you in the buy and hold, hey, you've got a different kind of mindset than I do outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I get it. But if you take a look at, and I think, the track record I'm going to show you for last year is a stellar one, right? But coming into this year, we're seeing the markets continuing to have a drop. What that does for me as a trader is very similar to what it does for Nick, right? It allows us to find buying opportunities. I got 3 different approaches I use as a crypto trader for finding buying opportunities. I'm going to show you one of them today. Eric.
Yes, I'm back. And we have more headlines, a couple more. We also have some great questions coming through that I hope we can get to towards the end. But I've heard something about PayPal, that inside of the algorithm of their phone app, there's some findings of a PayPal coin that's potentially coming. So I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that PayPal has positioned to be a big mover in the future in the crypto space. And here's your
Yeah,
article.
yeah. So, I mean, you can see that article, and this was also on CoinDesk. PayPal's exploring creating its own stablecoin as crypto business grows. This is the part that Nick and I are so excited about. Of course, Eric is too. Is that we're seeing every day the abundance of news that comes out is always seems to be to benefit the crypto world, and it's just a matter of when the investing community gets back on the northbound train. And so we saw that happen when Bitcoin ran up to around 64,000, dropped back down to 40. And as soon as it was hitting the 40s, all you heard from a lot of the mainstream media is Bitcoin's down, everyone's moving back to gold, everyone's moving their money out of Bitcoin and moving it into alt currencies, moving it into NFTs, etc. But this is another area that you saw. You're seeing stablecoin, the word stablecoin, come up quite a bit. Here's where it relates to PayPal. PayPal, and Eric, tell me if I'm wrong, PayPal has been slow to the race when it comes to adopting cryptocurrency. I mean, it took them forever to jump on the Bitcoin bandwagon. All right. And even if you go to paypal.com, I was actually looking at it this morning when I saw this article. I jumped into PayPal. I have a PayPal account. And what I did was I did a search in their help file on cryptocurrency. And what I noticed is that they still have very little in the help files on what to do to buy, sell, set up your PayPal account as a crypto account as well, to be able to take crypto, as well. And of course, they've got disclaimers all over the place. So here's my one-word sentence on this, Eric.
I'm listening.
It's going to be months, if not longer, before we see the next big information in terms of PayPal and stablecoin. Now, as I say that, I got a chart on PayPal I want to show everybody.
Okay.
For two reasons. Number one, take a look at this chart here, and you can see that, symbol PYPL. You can see what's happened. This is going back to August of last year. As, if you remember what was going on with PayPal, as we were heading into fall of last year, it was all about PayPal was going to allow you a way to buy, sell crypto, and also utilize crypto in your PayPal merchant accounts. So if you were a PayPal user as a buyer of products, you could utilize Bitcoin as a payment method. If you were a merchant, you could take Bitcoin as a payment method. But the big news was being able to buy and sell Bitcoin and some of the larger crypto assets using PayPal. That's what really kind of spiked this up. Notice what happened. We got up to on the 8th of September. We got up here near 300. Since then, it's been a drawdown. It's been a drawdown that's taken us down to a low. And I'm talking about Thanksgiving Day low, where we were trading down around 180. That's nearly a 40% drop in the stock price just in a couple of months. Then since then, we've been moving sideways. Couple things I want to note here. Number one, if you take a look at PayPal and you see what it's been doing since December, it has been moving literally sideways in a range between 180 and 200. Now, 180 to 200, that's a 20-point move on something that's trading less than 200. We're still talking about a 10% move in the stock between the highs to the lows over the last, let's call it 45 days. Now, since then, and again today, we're dropping down into that support level. If you believe that Bitcoin is nearing a low, which I do, if you believe Bitcoin is nearing a low here, and that we're going to start to see some turnover, and this could be the bottom, PayPal is a fantastic buying opportunity because it is stronger. It has been stronger than Bitcoin over the last 45 days. All right. I'm going to bring this up again here real quick, Eric. Here's our Bitcoin Fibonacci levels. I want to show you. This is 1111. All right, when we had our high at 60, it was 69,000. But I look at highs a little differently than the average person. I look at candle highs. I look at the bodies, not the wicks. Right? I never get the wicks. I never sell the wick high and never buy the wick low. I've never been able to do that. So why in the world would I analyze stocks based on wicks? 67.5. That was the wick high back there around 1111. Here's our low clocked in today so far, and that hasn't been decided because the day is still young. But if we use the 40,683 number, which is the number I grabbed right before we came live, you take a look at that number, and you can see here, it's just been literally a move to the downside. Now, back up to PayPal for a moment, and we'll get back to Bitcoin next. But back to PayPal. Here's your 11 number. Here's the high in BTC came right around the right after the earnings announcement for PayPal. PayPal did drop down, but has literally been going sideways for the month of December. Wow, guess what? Bitcoin's been dropping lower. So when you see a stock that trades with Bitcoin moving sideways against the asset itself, this particular stock is stronger. And what that tells me is that there's a divergence between PayPal and Bitcoin, which is bullish for PayPal.
Thank you, Tom. I think we should move on now to our market update. We can give everyone a little bit of look inside of that. And I know that you're going to be looking at here a couple of microcurrency assets. We're going to call it the top 3. So let me bring that on right now, and you could start discussing these top 3
Yeah, so let's look at these. So, it's interesting. We've gone through a year where we saw Bitcoin, coming out of really the big blast, if you guys remember, was right after Joe Biden's election. Now, I can't figure out why, I didn't in the beginning figure out why electing Joe Biden was going to be good for cryptocurrency. But now, since we have the, backward-looking goggles, you can see all the money that was flushed into the markets. That made not only Bitcoin go up in crypto, but assets as a whole. That's why we see the stock market at all-time highs, even though we've had a rough day today. We've seen real estate prices have gone absolutely bananas across the country, especially if you get into more of the red states. Take a look at Arizona, Tennessee, Texas, Florida. These guys are all having double-digit growth. In fact, in Florida here, we've seen real estate prices on the $300,000 to $400,000 homes. They're double what they were about a year and a half ago, and so big moves up. This is affecting everything, including cryptocurrency. But when you take a look, throw those cryptos back on the screen. So what we've seen is, we've seen the markets pull back. We've seen a pullback since November, but we've got a couple of them here. Algorand, all right, up 32%. Polygon up 20, almost 30%. Yearn Finance, there's another 21% winner that have outperformed. We've had quite a few outperformers here in the microcurrency space since we've seen these moves happening. I do want to talk about. Some of the smaller coins that are ones we've brought up, guys. When I think about these, I think about what did we bring up to everybody? Well, we brought up Bitcoin, and I want to talk about that one again. We brought up Ethereum. We brought up Dogecoin. ADA is another one we want to talk about. Engine is one we want to talk about. So those are the big 5 that I want to cover here during the at least before the show's over. We're going to catch into each of those. And so, Eric, let's talk about the big 2 here first.
Yeah, well, I want to ask you a question really quick. I mean, obviously the big 2 you're talking about, Bitcoin and Ethereum, but a couple of these assets, we just looked at a few of them. They're doing okay while everything is going red. They're at least above where things were before all this started. What do you think people should be doing that are holding some of these other assets that are really dropping right now? Is now a good time for them to panic out, or are you holding tight? You bounce back.
I'm holding.
You feel it's going to happen.
Okay, so here's that's a great question. I'm actually glad you asked that. As you guys all know, managing losses, that's part of what separates the amateur from the pro. All right, and big part of the reason you're here today and you're going to be here tomorrow, you're going to be here every day, is to get educated and get a look over our shoulders. All right, get a look at what Nick's doing. Nick's on this program all the time. Does he even look like he's phased with the markets dropping from with Bitcoin going from 69,000 down to the levels we're seeing now, 40. I mean, Eric,
No, I mean, Nick, I mean, I look at this and be like, my money, it's all just evaporating away. And for me, it makes me feel bad. But really, the way that Nick looks at this is, these are all long-term holds. I messaged him once and I said, everything's dropping. He said, were you looking to sell it all today? My answer was no. So obviously
exactly.
to him, this is opportunity to dive in and do a little bit more investing while things are low.
Yeah. Do you know what a lot of other people do too? Is that a lot of the pros now. Let me mention this too. I mean, I own Bitcoin I own some Bitcoin at a level of 0. I mined it. Okay. It wasn't 0. It cost me money for the computer. It cost me money for the electricity. My wife continues to tell me that. She goes, you didn't get that for free. Right. I get it. But I do have it at a lot lower level than it is right now. So yeah, I can hang on all the way down, down into, I mean, gosh, it could be below 10,000 and I wouldn't care. But you know what? For the person that owns it at 50, for the person that, if you own it at 50,000, let's just throw that number out there. And it's now 20% down on you right now. It's at 40. To me, you got to stop looking at this. If you got into this as an alternative asset, all right, think about these two words, alternative asset. If you got into cryptocurrency as an alternative currency, as something that's alternative to the U.S. dollar, you don't need to be looking at it, as to what the U.S. dollar can buy and sell, unless you're looking to buy, unless you're looking to be a buyer, which I'm looking to be. All right, and so in the terms of Bitcoin, for instance, I got a trading signal on Bitcoin, so I'm looking to be a buyer at these levels. So Eric, yeah, I mean that's one thing is that. And the big thing is, well, how do you keep the emotion in check? Here's the best way to do it. You invest less. Take that money and figure out, well, if you'd have taken that money, put it on a pile and let it on fire, would you miss it? And the answer is yes, you don't need to be investing in crypto. If the answer is, well, if I had less money on the pile and it burned up, that would be okay. And the thing is that number one, with crypto, you have to risk less because, again, you see what's going on here. This thing's rocketed up. It's going to pull back. We were looking at adoption phases not too long ago, Eric. In 2000, the highs of 2014, the highs of that 2018 timeframe, and what we're seeing now in the last two, and we don't have a lot of data on crypto. People say, "Oh, yeah, you got over 10 years of data now." Yeah, we do. But when you're looking at longer term investing cycles, we've been through two, where we've gone from low to high to low to higher high to lower low. And, we're now into this third wave adoption. Each of the first two had an 85% pullback from their low to high, 85% back. And the exact same thing happened again in 2017. We hit that as highs of about near 20,000. We pulled back into the low threes. So you have to expect this kind of worst case scenario.
It's like part of the course. It's as you said, when it goes up that high, you expect it to drop low. That could also be some nice potential, right? Some nice buying potential if you continue to follow that trend. You could know what's happened in the past.
Now, the other thing too I want to mention is that, where are we? This is the question that a lot of people ask, or maybe they don't even think to ask. Where are we in the third adoption right now? Are we? So yeah, we're pulling back. We're double bottoming as of right now at the 40,000 mark. How low could we actually go? If I threw that number at you, I mean, if you want to look at it at an 85% pullback, we're talking about somewhere just north of 15,000 on Bitcoin.
Oh boy.
I don't think we see that though. And because there's a big difference between what has happened in the first wave and the second wave. First wave, we saw what? We saw mostly miners. The second wave, we saw some of the early retail speculators that came in, the lottery ticket holders that happened to their lottery ticket came through. And they go, wow, I can't believe it. And now you're getting mainstream, you're getting that institutional adoption. That institutional adoption does not want to see Bitcoin go to 15,000, because what that does is that removes, I know some of us may not care for all the GBTC commercials you see on TV, I've seen Matt Damon more than I care to, and I even like him as an actor. My wife doesn't like him, and now she has to see him on, what is it? Fortune favors the brave. uh, that thing's on playing everywhere. Crypto.com commercials. But the thing is that you've got a lot of major players in here, and so we see that mid 30 area as a potential, as a potential next level low. And so all of the research we've done, and guys, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not a big fundamental trader here. If you know anything about me, I said the words fundamental and trader should never go in the same sentence. All right. I am a technical trader. I use artificial intelligence, and we'll discuss a little bit about that here. But if you're looking at Bitcoin, yeah, major contraction point. I like it as a buying opportunity. If you look at Ethereum, and Ethereum, if we looked at longer term charts, Ethereum's hitting some of those areas, those 50% pullback phases. If you look at the longer term chart, I look at a long term chart, and the long term chart tells me the bounce is imminent. We're down here around the 3,000 level. We're kicking around the 3,000 level right now, which has got some very nice, what I like to call round number support. And so round number support on Ethereum tells me that where do we see the bounce from to? Well, the bounce to jumps us back to the 3,700 mark. All right, 37 to 3,900, and to see this change, to see the adoption phase change, and for us to jump back on the bull wagon. Very, very interesting levels I'm going to give you right now. 39.15 on Ethereum. We've got to close above. You might say, well, wow, that's a long way away from where we were there a week ago. We were there a little more than a week ago. 39.15. Bitcoin, where do we need to go to before I start feeling bullish again? We got to get above 54,000. Now, that wasn't a week ago. That was a month ago. But if we get above and close above 54,000, then I start feeling like that 40,000 level is a definite hold. And, if you're an investor, what do we like to do? We like to average into trades. So this is a great point to start looking at longer term buying opportunities. But also as a trader, if we get above and close above 39.15, if we get above and close above for Bitcoin, the 54,000 mark, that tells me as a trader that things start looking good to the upside as well. Okay.
Nice.
Now, does that help answer the question, Eric?
Yes, it does help answer the question. Let me find myself here so I can come back. There we go. So now my question to you is, do we want to go into a strategy session, or are we going to be saving this for the 1:00 show? Or do you want to go into some question and answers? Because we do have a bunch of questions pre-packaged from a previous show, and we have a bunch coming through the chat as well. So how do you want to proceed?
Yeah, I think we could do a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think we can do a little bit of both. But we kind of left off on with crypto, and I see some questions coming through too, based on do you use price stops? Do you use time stops? And so we're talking about what you can do right now in your portfolio. As an investor, and Nick's going to hammer this one down. He doesn't care. He's looking at this as a 3 to 5 year move. Right? I'm a little different. I'm going to be looking at this as a 3 to 5 month move. If you guys think about this for a moment, with a highly volatile asset like cryptocurrency, you might think that, well, if I'm timing the bottom, every once in a while we get some really nice moves off of our buy signals, but sometimes we're in our buy signals. Last year, my buy and hold, and I could be wrong, I'm just going to round number this, was around 100 days on average. So I want you to soak that in for a moment. Your buy and hold is in years. It's like the Olympics. The buy and holds are, we're looking every 4 years, summer to summer, winter to winter. And so crypto, to me as an investor, you've got to look at that 3 to 5 year time horizon. But as a crypto trader, don't look at cryptocurrencies and think this is a day trading strategy, because it's not. We're in these, and we could be in these for a few months. So I want you to keep that in mind, and I want to talk about that as well. So my time stops and my price stops are all based on systems. They're not based on fundamentals. They're not based on buying down and holding forever. Now, keep in mind that also what I'm doing is I'm taking that risk less theory and I'm applying it to cryptocurrency because it has the highest volatile moves. So I don't want to get pulled out too soon. And, just like we said, we talked about 2017, we talked about 2018. So let's get into a strategy session, Eric.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's, where are you taking me on this strategy session? Are we going to your screens?
Yeah, so I want to look at a couple of things. I want to come back to Bitcoin, to Fibonacci for a minute, and I want to talk just, make sure everybody understands this. I want to look at a minimum of 3 coins today. All right, so the first one we'll look at is Bitcoin Fibonacci levels. You can see here, I've got them on here. I've got the 50,946 level. That's an area that I feel is the first target we need to get to. We need to get above and close back above 50,000. And if you look at what happened 2 weeks ago, we were there for a good 5 days. And then we had that big spike down. And then the most recent spike that we had late last week was due to now we're not thinking about talking about interest rates. They're coming. There's going to be in my mind, a 2 to 3 rate hike this year. 2 to 3 times we're going to hike rates. The question in everybody's mind is how much are the rate hikes going to be? And the other thing that's going to be very interesting is going to be what is Bitcoin going to do? Because Bitcoin was originally minted as an alternative to the US dollar, right? It was that outlier that was going to be if the US dollar just crumbles, I want something that's going to be out there just in case. But what Bitcoin's been doing now that it's become part of the third wave adoption, now it's being adopted by big institutions, that it's starting to move a little bit more like an asset, like a stock. And so it's moving against the US dollar. I believe at some point in time, folks are going to realize, for the course of Bitcoin, there's only 22 million coins, right? Most have been mined already. B, there's a big percentage of these coins that are gone, they're not burnt, they're lost. They're lost forever. So as soon as we figure out what that number is, and that might, there may be ways of doing that in the future. As soon as we figure out what that number is, that's going to help readjust the actual supply. And I believe it's going to be a supply issue more, Eric, and not a demand issue that's going to really kind of decouple Bitcoin away from the US dollar. Right now, it's kind of moving lock and step. And what I mean by is that is as a parallel. So as the US dollar is starting to pick up just a bit, it's causing stocks, it's causing Bitcoin, it's causing commodities to pull back. And that's what we're seeing happening today. It started last week. So that, my levels, we need to get above, hit 51,000, stay above 51,000 for 3 days. Then I start liking this bottom that we have. Ethereum, same kind of thing. We've got 3020 is what I have as my recent candle low. And I'm looking really at around the $3,750 area. Get above that, and I start to feel good about those lows that are in. Another one, which we've talked about here on the Alternative Wealth Network, is Engine Coin. So you guys all remember Engine Coin. We talked about that. We've been looking at this one now we've been in about 3 weeks. And so you go back to mid December, and you'll see Engine Coin down here in around the 250. We were in around 250, 260 areas, okay? And we had a pop-up that took us above, it was about 330 at one time. So we were up a good 40% on this stock, or on this particular coin. But since then, we've gotten a little bit of lower high, lower low. I want to show you this as a comparison when we look at Engine versus BTC. Engine has definitely outperformed BTC, not only to the upside, hitting these new highs late in November. But the other thing that's happened is we've seen Bitcoin have lower lows. We saw Bitcoin go from 50,000 at the beginning of December to now 40,000 today. Engine hit lows down here around 220, back up to 280, back down to 220, back up to 330. Now we're back down here into that 220 level again. 214 was the low that we saw here recently. So what's happening is Engine is holding support. Again, like PayPal, that makes Engine a very strong altcoin, very strong microcurrency, if you will. And so that was the part I wanted to talk about here with everyone. But as far as strategy session, our strategies, and I said this before, as far as how we trade these, involve three things. Number one, we look at an overview of the overall markets. I'm looking at Bitcoin. I'm looking at Ethereum. Those are the two overviews. Okay. Number two, I get in and I look at something called currency waves, and we'll do currency waves. Maybe next Monday we'll do currency waves in a future session, and I could talk about how one currency wave isn't the end all beat all of every cryptocurrency. Right? We let our computers figure out which ones work the best with what coins. But today I want to just spend a little bit of time with you talking about our triple stack program. And triple stack is more of a proprietary strategy that we use. It started years ago. In fact, when I say years ago, you got to go back into the 90s when we were starting to look at this, and in the 2000s. In fact, we started this in the stock market because we weren't using it on cryptocurrency. And in fact, it had so much notoriety, we were on the cover of Stocks and Commodities magazine with this particular strategy. And so it's something we like to call our darknet design. And darknet is a way of looking at channels. And we're looking at not just one channel where you buy the low and sell the high and buy the low and sell the high, et cetera. What we like to look at is three separate channels. We look at long-term, intermediate-term, short-term trend channels. When two to three of these are all hitting support points, because it is a buy strategy only, then we find buying opportunities. We like to call that the triple stack. The triple stack is when long, intermediate, and short all stack up together for a buying opportunity. We use it with channels. It's very similar to, I like to talk about, when someone says, well, what does it closely resemble in terms of trading strategies? Can you give me a hint? I'll give you a hint. It resembles something called Elliott wave. Elliott wave is a series of waves where we go from a wave 1 to a wave 5. And these are what's called impulse waves. The 1s, 3s, and 5s are impulses where we impulse to a new high or a new low, because it does work in the opposite direction. And then there are what's called corrective waves, where if you get something that goes up, there's a correction to the downside. If you were to take Elliott wave and apply it to Bitcoin, what you would see was in the broccoli, we like to call it that, the broccoli of technical analysis or Elliott wave. And what I mean by that is if you take a big piece of broccoli, you pull a small piece of broccoli off, the small piece just looks like the smaller broccoli of a big piece. Same thing happens with trends. You got long, ultra long trends. Then you've got trends that happen within maybe a year. You got trends that happen within months, weeks, even small daily trends. We're able to look at these. And so if you were to look at where is Elliott wave right now, where's the Elliott wave count in Bitcoin? What we're seeing right now is we're seeing the ABC correction, the correction phases. What comes after a correction phase? A new impulse phase. The new impulse phase, as of today, looks to go, 1 wave higher, 3 wave higher, 5 wave higher. I believe we're going to see that later this year, and I believe we're going to see new all-time highs off of that. So if you were to look at this in terms of what it looks like on a chart, this is an example of a channel collision or a triple stack where you've got a longer term, and our longer term waves, the minimum we look at in longer term waves is a 100-day chart. So that's a minimum. Shorter term, smaller than that. And then we've got our, we call them precipitation, long wave. We also have the parallel. That's typically a pause in the move. And we have a propulsion pullback. And that creates the triple stack or channel collision. Now, Eric, do we got time to show them what this looks like today?
Yeah, we got time to show them. We got plenty of time. Let's do it.
So I have a trading app, me and the folks that are part of the microcurrency group. And it looks kind of like, looks like this. So that's what my app is showing me today. Now, I could throw this on the screen and keep my hand really close and not move. Or how about I just put it on the screen for everybody to see? Because I went ahead and took a snapshot of it. And so here's our microcurrency trader app. And I thought I'd show this with everybody today, is that our darknet, our triple stack compression, is giving us a buying opportunity today in a coin, which is POE.ET, Poet. The symbol is POE. Now I look at POE and I see what the chart of POE has done, because what I can do is with the Eric, throw my camera back up here for a moment. So if I'm looking at POE, and all of you, those of you that are microcurrency traders that get the app, you do know if you put your finger right on top of that coin, you're going to get the chart alongside it. Okay, that's how you do that. You'll get the chart alongside it, and you'll see that little B down there at the bottom, or R in this case. That's a second wave buying opportunity. So I've got Poet looking at here. What I do is I then vet this coin. And vetting this coin didn't take long at all, Eric, because look at the price on this. It is 0.00008. You got to go 5 decimal places to the right. I don't like going 5 decimal places to the right. In fact, I'll go no more than 2 decimal places to the right to find any opportunities. Now, we look at 1,200 different coins. Some of you might be, thinking right now, well, why are you showing me this? This is a waste of my time. No, it's not. This is education, okay? And I'm educating you to the fact that I don't take just anything that shows up. Why am I even looking at this? Because one day this particular coin might mean something to me as a trader. So I've got to have the data. I've got to have the data there so I can see how well it's done in the past. But right now, POE doesn't even trade on Coinbase. So I don't want anything to do with it other than the fact that it came up. I wanted to show you it came up. And I also want to talk about why I don't like this one as a coin, right? But Eric, that's basically the way this all fits together.
It's new to me. I don't know this side of stuff. This is all new. I'm always into like the invest and hold thing. So this is interesting for me as well. So thank you.
Yeah, and if people want to, people look at this saying, well, Tom, this is proprietary. I can't do this. And yeah, I mean, you know what? My software is going to look at all 1,200 of these coins, and it's going to find these things as they happen. But if you want kind of an understudy, if you want an idea of how we do it, we're just doing channels. We're doing channels with a twist. We add a little bit of something called standard deviation of those channels. So what happens is the computer will take a look at the rough channel and add a little bit of support resistance to it. And so that helps us. We also only do this on the buy side. I'm not looking to short cryptocurrencies. Number one, you can't. The only way you can short a cryptocurrency is you could short the ETF, or you could short the futures contract on Bitcoin or on Ethereum and any other coins that end up popping up in the derivatives markets. But you can't do it on the physical asset. And the other thing I want to mention is that we get a much better potential. We get much better winning trades when we're simply on the buy side, right? Which is what everybody understands. Everybody in this room understands I can buy it here and I can sell it here. Less people in the room understand what a short is. And even if you do understand what a short is, most of us in the room don't want to do that. It doesn't compute correctly. If we're going to go bearish something, well, that's where options make sense. And we just don't have the ability to trade options right now in the cryptocurrency markets. But we could trade options on crypto stocks. And that's something we're looking at more and more here. And that we may even start pushing a little more here in the Alternative Wealth Network. So, Eric, let's do some Q&A.
I love the idea of doing some Q&A, and we have 4 questions that we've kind of pre-prepared for everybody that we're going to pop the first one in right now. This one is from Gene asking about, well, actually, which sector of the crypto market do you anticipate being the leader going forward? DeFi, NFTs, or gaming NFTs?
Yeah, so, and again, keep in mind, I'm kind of a what I like to call a jack of all trades in this space, but I'm a master of one. And the master of one that I am in is the actual trading of cryptocurrencies, mainly cryptocurrencies that trade on Coinbase. Now, that being said, if we take a look at this question once again, is it going to be DeFi? Is it going to be NFTs? Is it going to be gaming, etc.? I want to throw this back to you for a minute, Eric, because
Uh-oh.
you're Mr. NFT. Now,
I don't know.
I'll show you yours if you show me mine. Or
Oh man,
I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
we're
So let's
going
start
there.
with you. What do you see waking up? Anything new you see waking up in the industry that the most people aren't looking at?
I mean, NFTs are crazy right now. When we talk about them with Nick, he'll say that it's a bunch of degenerate gamblers, right? But at the same time,
Right.
I am part of these communities. I'm jumping into these Twitter spaces because I'm doing a little bit of work myself in NFTs, and it's massive right now. Earning potential is huge, but you have to know what you're doing. So, like anything else, you have to educate yourself and really be comfortable in the space before you decide to dive into it. But also, NFT gaming is also becoming really huge. NFTs, being able
Right.
to put the smart contracts on top of images, on top of these gaming applications and stuff, it's huge.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to replace crypto, though. I don't think cryptocurrency is going
No.
anywhere. I mean, people are
And
saying, "Oh, sell your crypto, buy NFTs," but I don't know if that's the best
no.
advice.
That to me, that's like, and you're talking about really going more into a private industry. And the more of the private side of the market you get, like private investments, if you will, then you've got less liquidity there. So it's not the easiest to get out of. It's kind of like, I think NFTs are awesome. I also think art is awesome. And so if you're picking up a Rembrandt, or you're picking up a Liechtenstein or something, those two type of things are going to have liquidity everywhere. But if you're picking up something that's from an unknown, okay, let me throw this out here. So, um, you know, my nephews have a buddy that is he's a starving artist, if you want to call it that. Okay. So Sarasota, Florida has a lot of those. Has a lot of starving artists, and they hang their artwork. They go from, trying to present their artwork at shows, and they realize, wow, I'm not getting a lot of movement here. Then they start hanging these things in hotels, in restaurants. I've got artwork at my house in New Zealand, because they want and then they've got the price and the artist's signature at the bottom. And if someone that comes to my house stays there, we had a couple that stayed at the house last week, and they get to look at the artwork too. And if they want to take some of it home with them, well, then they can pay for it, and then we get that to the artist, etc. But here's where I'm going with that. NFTs are a lot like that, folks. There's a lot of NFTs out there. I mean, the rock I saw, there was a digital rock that sold for like millions of dollars. And I don't imagine you could turn around and resell that rock and make money on it. So you got to look at NFTs a little differently than you look at investments. NFTs are, you're buying the NFT because there's something you like in it. It's something you want to hang on your digital wall, if you will. But I think if you look at the sectors, to me, we're seeing these interest popping in DeFi. We're seeing interest popping in NFTs. We're seeing interest popping in gaming. But when you look at GME, it doesn't seem to be reacting very well to the news of the crypto market moving into gaming, at least not right away. You take a look at, it's kind of like any other sector where you get a heaping helping of news, and you get a pop, and then all of a sudden things start to lean down. I think I was telling you this last week, Eric. I almost bought an NFT that was based on a wine that's at at a monastery in Georgia, and it was $30,000. And at the end of the day, I just thought, you know what? I just don't know what I'm buying here, and I don't know if I want this, so I didn't. But I do think the NFT world is fantastic. We're talking about creating some NFTs. I know you're talking about creating some NFTs too, Eric. But this stuff to me is kind of secular. And I think we're circling back around where the big move has to happen once again in old school crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum. And then that will be the engine that pulls a lot of this along with it.
Yeah, also the NFT space is so new. I mean, think about it when Bitcoin came out and everyone looked at Bitcoin and said, "What is that? It'll never be worth anything. I don't understand it. I don't know what to do with it." That's really what NFTs are right now. You have a small group of people on OpenSea. I don't remember the number. I wish that I had it right here, but it showed the amount of active users on OpenSea, and it was something tiny compared to how many people are in the crypto space. And so few
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
understand it and actually know how to make money from it that it's a great opportunity for people that are ready and willing to educate themselves in the space. And as time goes on, that's going to be less and less, as we've seen with Bitcoin. I mean, I wish I got into Bitcoin when you did, but I started getting into it last year. So, same type thing.
Yeah. Honestly, I can thank my son for it because he's the one that got me into it. But I'm kind of I'm laughing at the comment that Tom, your wife told you couldn't buy that $30,000 NFT.
Maybe
That
true.
wasn't it. You know what I was really worried about is that my wife loves a good wine. And I'm worried because the NFT came with a bottle of the wine from the monastery, and so I thought, wow, that's gonna get someone's gonna pop the top on that 100-year-old bottle of wine
You
and
can't drink
drink it.
that wine.
And then what do I have left? I have a digital picture of the wine, and I'll be the one whining.
Well, it's better than what you
um,
have with a
oh,
regular bottle of wine. When you pop it, you have nothing left but an
let's.
empty bottle. Yep.
I know we want to get to these other questions, but
Yeah.
you got to show this on the screen.
Oh,
Pop
sure.
my screen up there. So I got this email yesterday, everybody. This is
Right.
my public service announcement to all of you when it comes to NFTs, and we'll get off of this. So here it is. OpenSea team send me an email, Eric, and it says I got a new offer of 76.6 ETH on my item number 4728. So you know what I'm doing?
Yeah, you got to sell that,
First of all,
Tom. What an offer.
I'm going into my $1,200 calculator, and I'm like, wow, 76 times, let's call it 3,000. And so I'm like, somebody's offered me $228,000 for that monkey ETF down at the bottom. And then it dawned on me just as fast as I said, wait a minute, I don't even have an account with OpenSea. Spam. All right.
Scams.
Scams and spam. And guys, I'm telling you, the only spam that you want to eat is what comes out of a can. You don't want it coming to you digitally. If you don't have an account with OpenSea, if you see anything that looks even remotely crazy, and by the way, this is what I do, and this is what I tell everybody to do. Click here where it says OpenSea team. Find out who that reply address is. 99.9% of the time, it's not even going to have the word OpenSea in it anywhere, especially OpenSea.com or OpenSea. Its extension. And right there, this is spam. Delete it, block the sender, whatever you got to do. Do not fall for this. Okay. Just like I tell folks that are on my YouTube channel right now, do not fall for these comments that come out on my videos where it says, oh, they're like paragraph upon paragraph. Go all the way down to the bottom. You can see them trying to push somebody who's managing Bitcoin. The only thing they're going to do is manage to get your Bitcoin from you and put it in their pocket, and then you'll never hear from them again. That's my PSA, Eric. Next question, please.
Yeah, there's so much spam out there right now. You just really can't trust anything that comes through. But we do have more questions. This one comes from Sam. Hello, Tom. I never hear anyone mentioning anything on Anchor. Is this still a solid coin to hold? I actually have that. I have that right here for everyone to take a look at it. If you want to talk
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely. And so you see Anchor is about an 8-cent coin, 8.88, almost 9 cents. The one thing I can tell you about Anchor, and I look at it, and I do the same thing that you do, Eric, is where I'm looking at a coin, whether I'm going to buy and hold it or whether I'm going to trade it, I want to find out a little bit about it. And so Coin Market Cap's one of the places that I go to look at, and then I go down to about the middle of the screen. I get an idea of when it was founded, 2017. This is one of those developers and enterprise. It's just another way to look at blockchain. And in this case, the market, it's a marketplace for container-based cloud services, if you want to go down that area. Now, a lot of the white pages, and you know this too, Eric, a lot of the white pages are in legal jargon that is really hard to understand. Just keep in mind that when you look at the majority of these altcoins, there is some sort of efficiency. They've got to do something that's got to make themselves more efficient, more better than the originals, the OGs like Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when I look at Anchor, I can tell you this: Anchor trades, ANKR trades on Coinbase. ANKR is one that we're constantly looking at. But does ANKR have a buying opportunity for me today? And the answer is no. But I can tell you, if and when it does, our microcurrency traders are going to be the first to find out about that. All right. Great
Thanks,
question,
Tom.
by the way.
I like that question too.
Let me just say this. It's in the arsenal. It's in the paintball gun of opportunities, but it's wedged in there with all the other paintballs, and I'm waiting for it to pop up as an actual buy signal.
All right, how about this question? This one I like because I'm heavily invested in Cardano. So Dennis O'Neill says, what has brought Cardano down so far and so fast while leaving you still high on it? So essentially, why do you still like it with it really plummeting?
So I like it. Nick Black likes it. Probably talks about Cardano every single day.
All the time.
I bring it up when it becomes a tradable coin. It was a tradable coin in the 180 area. Yeah, it's down. It's down quite a bit, but it is not out as a coin. When I look at this one, I've not got an exit signal on it. In fact, what I'm looking for is the second signal, the second buy signal that we'll be looking for using our triple stack. So triple stack does give us up to 3 buying opportunities, on a cryptocurrency before we get a sell. It's amazing how well that has worked. And what I mean by that is if I get 3 signals, yes, sometimes it's a one and done. I get a signal, I get an exit. All right. Sometimes we get 2 signals. Sometimes we get 3. And when I go back and I look at them, I often find that that rebuy or that add-on signal are the most profitable of the 3 that pulls along the first signal. Let me just show you an example here. Take a look at this at my chart once again here, and this is not a fair representation, but this is Ethereum. You see that I have a triple stack buy here, and in this case, I got a runner, which means it moved up, it pulled back, and it gave us a second triple stack buying opportunity that came about a week later. And then, of course, the sell opportunity on the Ethereum trade we had popped up right here. So, you had to buy at 34. We had the next buy at 38. We had to sell at 48. We had to buy again at 4,000. We had a little pop-up sell at 42. And now we're looking for our next move. Now, some of these will happen. We'll get the buy, and then the rebuy will be lower. And then if we come back up, we may get profitable on the rebuy. We might get a break even on the original buy. But the average of the 2 trades together give us that buying opportunity. So, or that profit opportunity. So let me put this into very quick terms. If we bought ADA at 2 and we bought ADA again at 1, now we've moved that down to a level of 150. Obviously, we're looking for, we now have, instead of 4 on our horizon, we're looking at 2 exit signals. We're looking at our first exit signal back at 2. That puts us back to break even on the original signal. That gives us a double on the second. All right. Now we're holding on to that original half. Now we're holding break even. We see this happening quite a bit with our triple stack buy signals. But the reason ADA has gone down, simply the same reason everything else in the cryptocurrency markets as a whole has gone down, is that everything is getting a little bit of shock to it. We're getting a little bit of a shock and awe with what's going on with the Fed and what's been happening here. It's a combination of things. You have the hype of the Bitcoin ETFs behind us now, and now the hype is when's the rate hike coming? And so I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a decision that happens here at the next Fed decision, and I don't see the rate hike coming in the next one. I think that's going to be what's going to pop the markets. I think it's going to pop the crypto markets. And it's going to be later on down in the year where we're going to see whether that rate hike is going to have more long-term effects. All right, Eric, what else you got?
Oh, what we got right now is we got time. It's time for us to be heading on out, but you are going to be back later on today. I'm going to pop a phone number up right here because you have your own private room that goes on. We'll be there around 1 o'clock talking about more in-depth analysis of all this. I'm excited for it. So why don't you tell everyone really quickly about that before we head on out?
Yeah, so this is for our microcurrency traders. We're going to be join me back here at 1 o'clock. we will be in our private room. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting hot and heavy into more details right there on my charts. We're going to get into more analysis. You want to be a part of this, and you can join us now, 877-212-9163. That's the number to call to get more information on being a microcurrency trader. Eric, I'll see you soon, buddy. I'll see all of you. See microcurrency traders real soon, too.